What's up, guys? This is Ryan Fee for Upswing Poker, making some exclusive content for Card Player. And what I want to talk about in this video is really the one thing that comes to mind for me at the basis of why mental game is important for poker. If you play any kind of poker, especially live, it's really obvious when somebody's tilting. It's really obvious. What do tilting players do? They act irrationally, impulsively. They play much different than the way you would normally expect. And like you sort of look around the table and people are sort of licking their chops. They're trying to play pops with this player because they know that this player is going to bluff off or call off or do something really dumb to lose a lot of money. So I think one of the interesting things about poker is that it really exposes people. It really, you're constantly faced with decisions and adversity in rapid succession in a way that it's, not really that prevalent in many other domains of life. It's kind of like a giant question, like how do you deal under pressure with adversity? How do you deal when, your emotions might flare up? And the purpose of this video isn't really to go in and deal with the psychology of that. It's to understand that like once that occurs, once you've reached that point where your emotions are high, and your ability to rationally analyze a problem, and you all of a sudden you go from looking for the fish or chasing the fish or fishing for the fish to being the fish, that it's time to quit. That's it. I mean, like, there's no two ways about it. Like, as soon as you hit that point, and you just have to pick up and leave. And you don't have to necessarily like leave the casino, but you have to stand up and you have to walk away from the table. And I basically never ever see this. I've seen it a couple times, but like it 99.999% of the time, this never ever happens. That somebody takes a couple of beats, they get kind of frustrated, they realize that it's best for them to change. Because look, you can't, when you start tilting, you're playing poker, you're sitting there, you're just going to stare at your chips and the cards and the game, and it's just going to remind you of that mind state and that feeling and that mood. So you just got to get the fuck out of that. You just have to like stand up and then just like walk out of the casino or walk to the other side of the casino, do something else, just like mix it up, change where you're at, change your surroundings, because that can have an impact on your mood, or just quit. You could just stop playing. I can say I do a version of the excuse me, I do and did a version of this through through my whole career, and basically like I would, and obviously I'm was very disciplined and was able to go on for long stretches, but I remember I had a blog post on Upswing about, I'm like 100 some odd buy-ins below EV in my career. And, I played millions of hands and went on, very bad long stretches that I thought couldn't be possible. There's something wrong with me. I was unlucky and it was just me or couldn't last. That stuff definitely happened to me. And then so I would, play, and then I would try to sort of play through the hurt. But at some point I just sort of hit the wall, and, the answer was I just had to walk away. So I just stopped playing for the day and then maybe play tomorrow. But the problem is tomorrow, I would be super sensitive. I would be super sensitive as well. I would not, I would take one beat and then like that was it. I would go off and I would be upset. I wouldn't be able to focus. So, I'd have to take, another day off, maybe 2 days off, maybe a week off. So yeah, you can kind of think about it like this. It's like over time, right? It's like as sort of like beats sort of like accumulate, right? You get to like a certain point where it's just like too much. It's just like too much emotion, and you just can't keep your cool and like lock in and focus. And it's typically a slow road up there, and it's a slow road out too. Like I remember one point when I became pro, my first year pro. I was in month 3 or 4 into it, and I just, went on a big downswing. and just losing every day. And I just remember I think I took like a month off or like 3 weeks off, which like at the time was insane because the 2.5 years up until that point, I played 10 hours a day every single day. So the idea to take a month off from poker was like completely crazy. But like, yeah, I took a month off. I was super depressed, and all I did was like sit and watch TV. And that was definitely a low point for me. But eventually I sort of clawed my way out of it, and it wasn't anything special. It was just like I just didn't do poker for some amount of time till like my emotions sort of chilled out. I sort of got grip, got a hold of things, and then was able to slowly but surely grind my way back up. And by the way, this is at a time where again I was only I was playing 10-20 online at the time. Games were way better back then. But I still hadn't had like a ton of my. This is like for sure pre a lot of success for me, and I know that journey sort of well, and it's tough and it's going to take a lot of control. But that's what you do. So I guess my one secret, the one I guess like the one secret is like if you want to you can sort of do one sort of really easy thing or like a lot of hard things to really like develop a meditation or a breathing or a method to like remove yourself from the sort of result. And that stuff's all well and good. And, I know some players that have done that and had success. But if for most people, and if you want to just do one thing to limit your losses, because remember, if you play great 90% of the time, but terrible 10% of the time, that could be your entire win rate. You could go from winning to a losing player based solely on that. So yeah, my one tip is just once you feel the hurt in, you have to develop a very powerful, very disciplined habit of just walking away and taking time off. And that might mean that you drive all the way down to the casino, play 2 hours, and then have to drive all the way back and not play for a week. It seems kind of like the worst case scenario, but that's just for some people, in some situations for being a poker player, that's sometimes just what it is. Anyway, I hope you guys really like this talk here about the mental game. If you did, be sure to check out upswingpoker.com to learn more about the technical side of the strategy from myself and Doug Polk, as well as we've got a few new coaches in the lab as well to get the technical side of your game up to snuff so that you go on less downswings and have to deal with less tilt.